Hello and welcome back to the lesson. In our previous video, we've successfully added Suite Alert to our project, and in this video, we're going to start working on the student subject section. So we're going to go ahead and add another menu right here on the sidebar for our student subject. But before that, we of course need to go ahead and create our subject migration, model, and also our subject controller, just like we've done for the student classes. So let's go ahead and start with that as well for our student subject. Alright, let's now go ahead and open a new terminal. Let's navigate to our project root folder. Now if you come over here to your file path and type in cmd like so and then hit enter, a new terminal window is going to open. So let's go ahead and minimize this. Okay, now let's go ahead and create our subject model and migration first. So let's go ahead and say PHP artisan make model. And our subject model should be subject like so, and then let's go ahead and create our migration, and then let's go ahead and hit enter. Our migration is created, and also our models. As you can see, our subject model is created inside of our models directory, and also our migration inside of our database migration. Inside migrations, we have our subject migrations. Alright, and now let's go ahead and create our controller, our subject controller. So let's go ahead and say PHP artisan make controller, and we're going to be storing our subject controller inside of our backend folder, and then we're going to go ahead and specify our subject controller name. So let's go ahead and say subject controller. Okay, and now let's go ahead and hit enter. Okay, now our subject controller is created inside of our controllers. Inside backend directory, we have our subject controller. So let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, let's go back to our source code. Let's go ahead and reduce some of the tabs. Okay, like we're not going to be needing that. Let's go ahead and cancel this as well. And this one, we're not going to be needing. The class controller, no. The web.php, the sidebar, okay. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look. Now if you come over here under app http controllers, inside the backend directory we have another controller called subject controller, and then inside of our models we have another model called subject model, our subject model, and then inside of our database, inside migrations, we also have our, let me go ahead and expand this small, yes, subject table, which is our migration. So now let's go ahead and open our subject migration. So let's open that. And then inside of here, we're going to be having two columns, one for our subject name and the other for our subject code. So let's go ahead and create those two columns. So let's go and say table like so, and then let's go ahead and say string, and we're going to go ahead and give it a name. Let's say subject name. Like so. Let's go ahead and create the second one. Copy this line of code, come down here below, paste this. Now let's go ahead and call this one subject code. And now let's go to our model, our subject model, which is right here. Okay, we need to go ahead and add our protected guarded, something like this. Let's go ahead and copy this. Let's go back to our subject model and let's go ahead and paste this right here. Just so our database column here that we've created should be fillable, so we need to make sure that we added our protected guarded. Now let's go ahead and save our file. Let's say save all, and now let's go ahead and run our migration for our database table here called subject to be created inside of our database. So let's go ahead and open our terminal like so. Let's go ahead and say PHP artisan migrate, and now hit enter. Okay, now our subject table is now created inside of our database. So now let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go to our database. Let's exit out of this classes table. Our subject table is successfully migrated. So let's go ahead and open that. Okay, as you can see, we have ID, we have subject name, we have subject code, and as usual, we have our created ad and also our updated ad. So now let's go ahead and start working on our create subject view right here. So we're going to go ahead and add a menu for our subject. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's head back to our source code. Let's go ahead and close this our migration. We're not going to be needing that anymore. And our subject model. Okay, now let's go to our sidebar to add our menu. Let's go ahead and close our file explorer like so. So now we're going to go ahead and add a menu right here that says subject. Okay, so let's go back to our code. Now here that says utility, I'm going to go ahead and change it to subjects like so. And then here, let me go ahead and copy one of these routes. Copy. Now let's go ahead and replace this. Let me delete this one like so. Okay, now instead of create class, we're going to go ahead and say create subjects like so. Okay, now let's go ahead and save our file. Let's say save all. And now let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, let's refresh our application. Okay, now we are having a menu called subject, and under subject we have create subject. So now let's go back to our code. Okay, now let's go ahead and create our create subject route. So let's go ahead and change this route to create instead of class to say subject like so. And now let's go ahead and create our route. Okay, now let's go to our web.php file. I'm going to go ahead and copy this entire group controller. Let's go ahead and copy this. Let's come down here and paste this. And here I'm going to say subject all routes. Okay, now let's go ahead and remove some of the routes like so. Okay, so that we are left with only one. And now let's go ahead and copy our create subject routes. Let's say copy, and let's get back to our web.php file and update our route name like so. Paste to create subject. Let's go ahead and update our URL. Copy create / subject like so. And our method name should also be create subject like so. And of course we need to change our controller here to our subject controller. So let's go ahead and load that first. Let me come above here and say copy this line of code, copy, paste it down below here, and instead of class controller, we're going to be calling our subject controller. So let's go ahead and say subject controller, which is right here. And now let's go ahead and copy our subject controller like so, and then replace our class controller here to our subject controller like so. Subject controller. Okay, now let's go ahead and create our create subject method inside of our subject controller. So now let's go ahead and find our subject controller file. So let's come over here and say it under app http controllers. Inside backend we have our subject controller right here. So let's go ahead and create our method inside of our subject controller. Let's say public function. Let's go ahead and paste our method name, which is create subject, and then let's go ahead and say end method right here. End method. This is just a comment that indicates the end of our methods. So now we're going to go ahead and create our view, our create subject view. So let's go ahead and say return view like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and create our view inside of our backend folder. Inside of our backend folder, I'm going to go ahead and create another directory called subject like so. And then inside subject, I'm going to go ahead and create our create subject view. So let's go ahead and say create underscore subject underscore view like so. Now let's go ahead and create our subject directory inside of our backend directory, and then go ahead and create our view inside of our subject directory. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and copy this our subject directory first. Say copy, and then let's find our view. Okay, inside of our views inside backend like so, and then we're going to go ahead and create another directory called subject. Let's go ahead and paste this right here, subject, hit enter. Okay, and now inside of our subject directory we're going to go ahead and create our view. Let's go ahead and copy this, copy, and then go to subject. Now let's say create new file, paste this right here. Let's say .blade.php, and then hit enter. And now our view is created, our create subject view is created. So friend, our create subject view is going to be just like our create class view, which is this view like so. So we're going to go ahead and copy this view and then go ahead and modify it. So let's go ahead and do that. Just come back here. Let's go ahead and find our create class view, which is right here, create class. So let's go ahead and copy everything, copy, and then let's go back to our create subject view and then say paste like so. Okay, now let's go ahead and start with the title. Let's go ahead and change it to subject creation like so, and then here I'm gonna go ahead and say subject. Here should be creation like so. Okay, and now let's go ahead and work on our form title right here. Let's go ahead and say create subject. Okay, says create subject like so. All right, let's go to the input fields. Okay, the title, the first title should be for subject name. So let's say subject name. Okay, our placeholder should also be changed to, let's say subject name like so. Type should be text required. Okay, fine. And then our name should be subject name like so, subject name. And we're not going to be needing the paragraph here. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of this. Okay, like so. And then our second input field level here should be for subject code. So let's go ahead and change that. Say subject code like so. And let's go ahead and change our placeholder to subject code. Let's copy that, paste that, subject code, and type text required. Okay, the name should also be subject underscore code like so. And we're not going to be needing the paragraph here. Okay, and our button should say create subject. Okay, something like this. All right, I think everything is fine. Okay, our subject name, subject code, create subject right here. Okay, now let's go ahead and save our file. Let's go ahead and say save all. And now let's run our PHP artisan optimize command, because we have made some changes to our web.php file. As you can see, we've created a new group route. So let's go ahead and run our optimize command. PHP artisan optimize like so, hit enter. Okay, now our application cache is cleared. So let's go ahead and take a look. And now let's go ahead and refresh our application. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go under subject. We have create subject. Okay, as you can see, now we have our create subject view. We have input fields for subject name and also our subject code. All right, that's very cool. So friend, that will be it for this video. In our next video, we're going to be creating our student subject and storing it inside of our database table right here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.